Okay, so now let's get into shared home ownership. We'll spend a few minutes on this and kind of give you an idea of what that is. So what is shared home ownership? Well, what it is an approach to home ownership in which multiple entities come together to buy a home. And so what we do is we really pre-qualify, pre-approve. We call it an ironclad pre-approval, where we'll take people who you want to bring in. So Miracle, that would mean that if you found a friend of yours or an associate or a family member that would like to invest with you, what we do is you come in and you can have as many as 4 people actually buy a home together on a home to live in as a primary residence. And so you have the opportunity then, everybody comes in with their income and it's all pooled together. So all of your income is pulled together, down payment sources are pulled together, and we qualify you based as if you were one entity to qualify for financing. Now, we do have some guidelines, and some guidelines is we like a credit score of 640 or higher. You know, we pull credit, we'll go through and educate you about that. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But the idea is we get you fully approved and then we turn you over to a real estate professional to help you. So let's give you an example. Let's say for a purchase price of $650,000, if you buy this home on your own, you've got to make $95.25 a month. And that's about $110,000 a year, a little bit less, or yeah, a little bit less, about $110,000. Where shared home ownership, you got to pay $31.75. And this example is based on divided by 3 individuals. Down payment, you'd have to have $32,500. Shared home ownership, you got to come up with $10,833. Total payment, you've got to be able to sustain a payment of $43.53 a month. Shared home ownership is $14.51 a month. And $14.51 is almost less than renting. I mean, that is really, that is where the rubber meets the pavement, because most people that are renting are paying anywhere from $1,800 to $2,500 a month. So that's a really big deal. Another example is if it's $750,000 required monthly income, you got to make over $120,000 a year. Shared home ownership, you got to make $35.60. Required down payment is $37.5 if it's your own home. Shared home ownership, you got to come up with $12.5. Total payments $52.33. Instead, it's $17.44. So it's a very big deal to be able to have the idea to share your home and share the ownership of that. We had a gal that did that. She went in with her roommates, bought a home, and after 5 years, now get this is really cool. After 5 years, they did their exit strategy. In other words, they knew beforehand when they agreed to sell what they were going to do, because they each had to go their own separate ways. So they had an agreement, you know, they knew what they were going to do. And as a result of that, when she bought her new home on her own, because her income was now high enough to buy it herself, she got enough equity to pay off all of her student loans and enough money for a new down payment on a home. I mean, it was massive, the type of difference that it can make. So the services that we include, if you want it, we'll offer you a compatibility test, you know, a roommate compatibility test. You know, there's colleges offer this to people who are going to be doing some rooming together. We can do that for you so that you're really confident about the person that you want to bring on to buy the home with you. We're going to talk about coaching for credit, for budgeting, for everything that you need help with to get you on the right track so that you can be in a position to buy, because you may not be ready tonight, but you may be ready in 6 months to a year. And then we can do a lot of coaching as far as compatibility when it comes to home ownership with 2 people, not just a compatibility test, but we actually have a coach who, if you're interested, will do coaching for you and give you the ground rules, what you need to do to be able to live with another person. And a lot of times you may not really have an issue with it because it's your friend already. And then we have conditions of satisfaction. We'll help you put together an agreement. And that agreement is between all parties so that when one wants to exit, what's going to happen at that time. If somebody wants to sell, then the other party would have first right of refusal to buy out that share, or they may all decide to sell. There's a lot of different things that happen. So we make it very clear that there's no misunderstandings, and it'll be a lot easier to be able to do that. So this idea of shared homeownership is a really big deal, because in most cases, people who take advantage of it will qualify to buy a home and can begin to build equity, irrespective of the fact that they can't buy a home on their own. And we believe it's a model of the future. We think that home prices will continue to rise. We think that they will at some point outstrip people's ability to buy with the single income that they have. And we think that the shared homeownership will open up and give a tremendous opportunity to individuals to own a home that never had that opportunity. So with that, and here's an additional, what we do a little bit different, just as something different, is that we really focus on your preparation. So in getting you ready to buy, we're going to spend a lot of time in the preparation phase, and closing your loan is going to be really easy. That's the way that we operate. Versus the amateur loan officer that only spends about 20% of the time preparing to get your loan ready, and it takes 80% of the time to close your loan. It becomes a traumatic experience. It doesn't have to be that way. It can actually be a pretty easy process. Okay, all right. So thank you so much for coming.